My blood is rushing through my head to the point I have a headache, palms sweaty and adrenaline spiking, as I follow the path to the top of the cliff on jello legs. Walking in behind the others like me, who are to go through the ceremony at the highest point of the full moon, I'm breathless, fighting the nausea and internal shaking of fear. Body trembling, as I watch where I step, a little too closely, and almost collide with the girl in front of me. Staggering sideways and kicking stones in my path accidentally to avoid her. Watch where you're going, reject. The growl of one of our accompanying mentors hits me in the side of the face with an open palm as he leans in close and shoves me back in line, harshly, hard enough to send me crashing into the rock face we are brushing up against. And I almost hit the ground with the force, coughing out a whimper of pain. I catch myself, right my body quickly, ignoring the burning pain of grazes, and skip 2 steps to catch up and get back in line while rubbing my bruised arm and shoulder from the collision, trying not to look his way. Knowing if I do, he will probably smack me in the face for showing zero respect to a superior. He's called Raymond, and he's around 24. One of the Alpha's main pack leaders of the subs, one of the Santos, and he hates anything to do with us. Another superior wolf from a pure bloodline who sees us as an inconvenience and unworthy to breathe his air. This is the reality of my life, and how little value I have in this hierarchy. Reject is the name for all of us. Like we don't have separate identities anymore, and I can't wait to be free of these people and this life. Halt! A booming low and gravelly voice ahead of us stops us all in our tracks as we come to the level top of the cliff known as Shadow Rock. It's more of a large plateau than a rock, but the sun never seems to lay its light and warmth in this nook of the mountain. And yet it gives us a direct and uninterrupted view of the moon every night. It's been the point of this ceremony for hundreds of years, and we're finally here. I pull myself past the girl in front of me and come to her side to gaze at the familiar scene before us. Stomach churning up with the knowledge it's happening. The ceremonial setup of flares and burning fires at points near the ledge are already there and glowing bright all the way around the curve of this large platform, creating a red and amber glow that illuminates the space in what will soon be wall-to-wall darkness of this still night. The center of the clearing marked out with symbols in chalk, and a large set of circles surround them. One for each of those who are to awaken. I shudder inside as reality hits home that this is really it, and I have nowhere to hide. You can't outrun it. There's no way to stop it from happening. Close off here, and put these on. Scratchy gray blankets are thrust into our arms by a tall muscular Santo, looking down at us with almost black eyes as he snarls his contempt, probably annoyed that they even allow my kind to go through this like everyone else does. Walking past as he dishes them out, and I am aware that many have gathered around the ledges, and above us on the edges of the cliffs above to watch this. All the packs are here already, and right in the middle stands Juan Santo and his immediates. His second in command, his third and his son, Colton, the ceremonial shaman in full dress, is standing with his staff awaiting the start of his duties. Something he could do with his eyes closed, I expect, as he has been here for so many years. I don't wait to question the order. Eyes down, nerves frayed, but get to it. I know the drill. I throw it around my shoulders to conceal my body as best I can, the same as the others, and we quickly strip down inside our coverings with haste. Discarding our things into neat piles we will return to later. Transforming rips your clothes to shreds, so being naked is the best way to deal with it. Afterwards we'll be able to get dressed again, but for now, this itchy old blanket is all I have to cover my modesty. Not that anyone cares. Nudity among wolves is common, and not something they actually stare at or find abnormal. So many turn at the blink of an eye and come walking back in human form, with no covering at all. It's another sign of weakness to be body shy and hide if you have to come home without your clothes. Obviously, The alpha types walk around in the nude without any worries, being they are physically perfect. The only time it's an issue is if a mate is being ogled by someone who isn't hers. Males are territorial, jealous, and aggressively unpredictable when mated up, so it's common for regular testosterone fights over looking at each other's woman. It's kind of basic and primal, and another reason I won't miss being part of a pack. We're animals by nature, and humans would be disturbed by what is normal among us. I mean, aggression, physical hostility, and even beating each other is not viewed in quite the same way that humans would between married people. Mates fight, sometimes in wolf form, and bites and scratches are usually the best way to work out a dispute. I undress fast and leave my clothes and shoes in a neat pile between my ankles to stand up, pulling my blanket around me snugly to await the next orders and shield myself from the cool air. Visibly shaking with nerves, and I glance around me quickly to see equal fear, pale skin, and solemn faces of the others. I'm not the only one who is terrified. We've all seen how bad this gets, and before the night is out, we'll have felt pain incomparable to anything we've been through in our lives. Move! Raymond shoves the male to my left to make him lead the way, and we dutifully follow, silently, in a line to the open clearing and head towards the chalk circles awaiting us. I close my eyes for a second and try to swallow the clawing fear spreading through my veins like ice, my throat dry and itchy with the effort. Holding myself together, I quickly move to the first circle I see as the line in front of me dissipates. Hundreds of eyes on us as they watch and wait. Silence eerie in the oncoming night, and I look up to the sky to find some sort of eternal calm. Soon it will be dark and dotted with twinkling stars. But for now, it's daylight and we have to begin. The moon will be upon us soon enough. After everyone shuffles quickly into place and settles, the hush is broken with the booming voice of the shaman, as he gestures for us all to sit while he raises his staff. I do as I am told, slide down quickly, and sit cross-legged within my blanket on the cold, hard, gritty ground beneath me, trying to get enough of the covering underneath me to make it less uncomfortable. I'm aware of the penetrating stares from all around, and I try to blot them all out. Drink. Something hard shunts me in my ribs from behind, and I strangle a yelp, sitting upright sharply and spin my head around to see a wooden cup held out to me. Another Santo shoving it into my hand as I unravel it out to take it. What's it for? I ask innocently, always wondering when we watched from a distance and stupidly naive to think I'll get sense from one of them. Drink it and find out. He smirks, walking away with no real answer. I sigh, internally irritated at his attitude, before staring down at the dark amber liquid contained within, its heavy scent of herbs and perfumes wafting up into my face. I spot the others drinking it down fast without question, and I follow suit. It tastes like thick, gloopy honey, laced with all sorts of chemicals that burn my throat as I take it down, and almost choke on its thicker consistency. I gag but manage to claw myself into staying still and swallowing hard with multiple gulps, closing my eyes as the taste turns bitter, spreading down my throat and into my stomach and immediately warms them both. I can feel it disperse into my veins and limbs, knocking the cold of the rocks away from anywhere my skin touches, and almost immediately I start to get a little woozy. The ground around me moving and swaying softly, like the sea coming in on the tide. I shake my head, but it's completely pointless. Hunching forward so I don't fall over. I now understand why every time I watched this, the newest to awaken would sit the whole ceremony slumped down and immobile until they turned, seemingly oblivious to all of the ceremony and its stages as light faded to dark. They have drugged us for the pain, and I start to lose track of everything around me as a veil of surreal sweeps up like a warm, fluffy, warm fog, and devours me whole. I don't know how long we are this way. What's happening is all I can hear is the chant of the shaman as he dances around, shaking things, singing and clapping. Vision blurry and coming in waves, my body heavy yet detached, and I no longer feel like I am really here or even conscious. Time passes, but I have no clue how fast or slow. And all I know is it gets dark so quickly around me, and I can't seem to stop myself drifting into space or losing track and fading away, cocooning me into the little bubble of black space around me where the smell of fire and incense makes me giddy and sleepy. It's peaceful, yet somehow, it's not. And there's a stirring of awareness and fear almost out of reach. There's warm hands on me, maybe, but I'm not sure. The sudden breeze, although it does nothing to cool my eternal warmth. Lulling into a weird state of semi-sleep and can no longer open my eyes or really understand what is going on around me. It's almost pleasant, cold liquid and wrinkled hands, as something is smeared across my forehead, making me flinch with a second of reality, and I grasp to focus on the dancing form in front of me. Rattling, blowing smoke, chanting a song as it runs down the bridge of my nose, and I pull from memory that the new turns are marked with a fresh blood kill in preparation for our own turn. My face will bear the mark of wolf, with an animal our alpha will have slaughtered. The roughness of something pulling across my skin startles me slightly. And then suddenly I'm levitating out flat or floating, or maybe just lying down. No clue anymore. I'm too wasted to have any sort of idea about what my body is doing. And the heavy, loud tones of the wolf song echoes across the mountain as the packs sing to welcome our moon. I've never felt anything close to this. Not even being drunk for the first time a few months ago, when we found some booze in the orphanage storage cupboard. Memory of witnessing this many times reminds me that they take them and pull the blankets free for the turning, laying them down to be blessed by the full moon. And logically a part of my brain is telling me this is what is happening. It's almost like I'm no longer attached to my limbs, and as a warm sensation trails firmly across my cheek. A raspy voice comes through the fog at me. It's going to hurt. I can't wait to watch it, reject, or maybe I might take advantage of you like this. Finally get my way. I barely recognize the voice. But gut instinct tells me it's Damon, a boy from the Conran pack who tried to kiss me a year ago. He cornered me in the school corridor, pushed me against the wall, and tried to force me to kiss him while shoving his hand up my dress. I fought him off, left him with a nice scratch down his smarmy face, and he has been gunning for me ever since. Not that I marked him badly. We heal fast, but I obviously left a dent on his pride and his ego. I can't react, and as a hot invasive sensation moves down my shoulder, I can only squirm, wanting so badly to get his hands off me. He's not that dumb though, and with all eyes on us he leaves me alone to my fate as I try to fight to come back to a sense of now. Suddenly afraid that after this is done, he will be the one to tend to me like this, responsible for ushering me back to my clothes and the concealed shadow of the cliff edge. Who knows what he will do? I don't recall if the turning takes you out of the drug-induced stupor when it's done, or not. I can't dwell on it any longer. As soon as I do, a burning light hits me hard over the entire surface of my body. Almost like a blowtorch was turned on, and I spasm instinctively into an arched position on the floor. Every inch of my skin bubbling and blistering to searing levels of torture, as though I have been set alight, and I strain and claw the ground beneath me, gasping with effort, breaking nails on rough terrain as I scramble for relief, and yet can do nothing but scream, crying out in pain, writhing in agony, as an intense sensation rips my skin from my bones and engulfs me entirely. My voice deepens, scraping and running hoarse like I'm swallowing splinters, and cries become growls, my throat almost bursting into flames with the effort. For a second, it's like I'm being strangled. I'm under attack. My body is being ravaged, twisted, snapped, and slain. But this isn't another wolf. This is the turning. It's so much worse than I ever imagined it could be. Cracking, convulsing, and devastating agony rip through me hellishly, sending me rolling around in a bid to relive the pain as grime, rocks and dust scrape at my flesh and burn as I graze across them. I whimper and moan, but it alleviates nothing of the torture of my body, crunching, shredding itself apart. I cry out, beg for my mother to save me, wail for the fates to stop this, and claw at the rocks, breaking fingers with the sheer force of my fight and gouging what's left of my skin on sharp edges underneath me. No one could prepare me for what this feels like, and I'm being turned inside out while slow roasted over an open bed of hot coals. I can't breathe. I can't scream anymore, and silently I writhe and jerk and twist and turn as I am consumed by hell. Our noises are drowned out by the stamping, chanting, and clapping of the packs, thundering through the ground and reverberating through my broken, smashed body. Giving way to howls as the moon reaches its peak, and they encourage us to make the final transition to become like them, combining to howl, under strict orders that none other are to transform tonight and break the ceremony. Only the new shall change tonight. Only our blood will spill as our human form is destroyed to build something better. I want to die. The pain is unbearable, driving me to the brink of insanity, and it truly feels like my human self is being tortured to non-existence. Every bone in my body snaps and reforms as though it's being done manually. One at a time, my flesh tears free and pulls away from muscle. I'm wet, a hot pouring out as blood drains from the hellish self-inflicted wounds that seem to last forever, covering me in sticky warm heat, smothering me and leaving a vile metallic scent all around. I can't tell what's sweat, what is blood, what is maybe other kinds of fluid, barely holding on, reaching a pinnacle where my mind is on the verge of collapse and the dregs of sanity teeter on a cliff edge. I howl and I strain with all my might. So I extend my face up into the air and gasp with relief as my lungs inhale, and I finally take a breath, and then everything is still. It all just stops. Like having a cold drink poured over scorched sunburn, and instant soothing hits hard and intensely as my noise becomes silence. My burns become cool, and my breaks become one. I stop fighting my own body, aware of the immediate cease of all of it, and the creepy quiet that surrounds me so suddenly. The unnatural silence, hazy and blurry as my head spins, and I grasp for some sense of real, catching my breath, gulping in cool air and calming ambience, as the fog starts to clear, and my vision returns only a little. I try to get up, to right myself, although it feels different, and I stumble sideways with a disorientated sense of upright. I'm on my hands and knees, I think, even though I don't know how I got this way. I can't stand or push myself up as I would, because it all feels strange, and I blink and shake my head to clear my eyes enough to see which way up I'm facing. Confused, yet there is a calm taking over me, a sense of serene with heightened senses in every way. I blink, my eyes watering as finally, dry is restored to moist, and I see forms and shapes and shadows, which then define to details and more. I gaze down, and I see paws that startle me at first. Gasping at the closeness and realize they are mine, where my hands should be, flat on the ground. Large, clawed but strong paws, larger than I thought they would be. I lift one and shake it, almost as if I need to convince myself that I can use and control this limb. It's truly connected to my body. My legs are solid, with thick silver gray fur and all the way up my muscular chest. I have a streak of purest snow white that travels as far as I can see. I stare at it, lean back and pull my chin in tight to follow it until I can't strain any further to see. I have very little memory of my mother in her true form, but I know this is from her. She was a white and my father a silver, yet it's rare to combine both in such a way. Most wolves are brown or gray. White is a mutation that's almost unheard of, and my mother used to try and hide herself because it brought only stares. I shake my head, the unfamiliar weight of a different form pulling me from side to side, not fully in control of my limbs or movements just yet, but aware it's so much bigger than my human skull. staggering on strange legs and fall down flat, splaying out and bumping my undercarriage as I collide with stone, aware suddenly to the scene around me. Coming back into focus, and realizing we are still being watched. Sobering fast as my new metabolism pushes the last of the drugs out of my system, and cleanses my blood. The atmosphere is charged, and I'm surrounded by newly changed wolves of all shades of gray and brown, although I'm the only one with white in my coat. Turning as the shamans chants draw my eyes back to him and trip over my own uncoordinated self as I try to right myself and get up. It's hard to use my hands as front legs, and I instinctively rear backwards too far onto my haunches, losing my balance and reeling forward again to correct it, before tumbling face forward to the ground once more, and meeting the dust with a lower jaw clunk. It gets easier. Try to stay on your feet, all four of them. The voice above me pulls my head to tilt towards it, and I recoil as I realize Colton Santo is standing right by me, watching as I make a spectacle of myself in falling flat out on new legs. I don't know if I'm shocked that he spoke to me, or wary that he did. I've never trusted anything about him, or any of his motives, and wonder when he got over here so close. Avoiding looking directly at him, keeping me eyes averted from his and attempt to get to grips with this weird body and focus on learning to use it. All I can do is whimper back, realizing I have no ability to form words this way, and go into my own head link instinctively. Wolves in the same pack have a connection mentally, so they can communicate without talking, which admittedly is impossible as a wolf. We don't have the vocal cords for human talking. It's also possible when close enough to talk to one, not from your own pack. If they are willing to hear you, it feels strange. I attempt to link with him, weirded out by this new, almost natural ability I didn't have before. Overwhelmed by all of this, and not sure if I am still heavily drugged when in this form, or if this surreal new way to experience everything is wolf sense. Things affect us differently as humans, and this disorientation might just be something I have to adjust to. Yeah, well, walk it off. Learn fast. He links me back, a husky familiarity to his voice inside my head that does strange things to my stomach. It's hardly a polite response, and the tone tells me he doesn't really want to have any sort of communication with me, especially not in a head link. I'm not one of his pack, and I'm not even on the same level as him. It's disrespectful to try. As if to further demonstrate the point, he walks off towards his father, and I flop down to get to grips with everything that I just got hit with. I'm heavy, not sure how to navigate my dog body when I've spent my life walking on two legs. I must weigh 4 times my usual weight for sure. Although the size of my paws suggest maybe even more. The turning will not last. Only moments fleeting for your first time. When you come out, you will be awoken, and your path will lead you to your destiny. Pay attention, be alert. You are now on the other side. The shaman states it loudly, and it echoes around the mountain like a sort of prophetic song, one I have heard so many times, but yet this time, it finally means something to me. I get up on unsure legs once more, slowly, like Bambi on newborn limbs, and lift my head as I know I'm meant to. In unison with all around me, we stretch our necks out, lift our noses to the heavens and howl at the moon for the first time in our lives, as one united pack. No matter who we are, where we are from, whatever our bloodline or our past. Long soulful with meaning, a sound that echoes around us, through us, and is joined by the hundreds who watch, until we fill the night sky with a somber, eerily hum that will reverberate around the mountains and put the fear of God into the wildlife. United in one song that finalizes our transformation. It feels strange at first. My throat vibrates. It aches and rasps my vocal cords. But as my belly empties, my air departs and the longest yowl comes cascading out of me, until it scratches my throat and makes me breathless. I feel alive, like I have been holding my breath and waiting for this my whole life. I guess I have. This is what I was born to be, and with the awakening comes freedom. I can leave. I can run. I can live off the land and hunt to survive. I'm no longer bound by the confines of humans in terms of getting by. Wolves can live anywhere as long as they can hunt, and although we are pack animals in mentality, I've heard stories of isolated wolves doing fine on their own. That is what I have planned. Longed waited for, and I know where I'm heading. Can finally realize my dream of leaving all of this behind me and finding my solitary peace somewhere out there, as far away from these mountains and people as I can, and never looking back. As soon as I relax, our call stops and the energy in me fades fast. Overcome with fatigue that makes me slump back down and flake out on my belly, sighing as my body tingles and itches with 1,000 little tremors, glancing down in time to watch as everything changes back faster than I thought it would. Fur that was keeping me warm, on paws instead of hands. It all begins to recede, and unlike my transformation to beast, the reversal is not painful at all. It's fast, almost instant, and before I can blink or even get to grips with what is happening, I am nakedly human, smeared in my own blood, and flat out in a huddled heap on the floor, which saves me some of my dignity by shielding my body. I scramble to pull my body into a ball, aware I am completely uncovered and exposed to the hundreds of eyes around us. I jump when my blanket is tossed towards me by the nearby Damon, smirking as his eyes devour my nudity, and I recoil, embarrassed, ashamed, at being naked in front of everyone, and mad as hell. He made sure I would have to cross 8 feet to get the blanket. I glare at him, forgetting myself for a moment, and then ponder not going to get it and huddling up to cover myself instead. Others were tossed theirs directly and looking around. I realize I am the only one who has to go crawling for hers, like an animal. He is trying to humiliate me, and I move fast to catch it, shocked when the slightest movement sends me shooting towards him at lightning speed, and I end up almost at his feet in the blink of an eye. Wow. I blurt out loud and get laughed at by someone nearby as they realize how naive I am about the speed and power we all just inherited. Another change in me I have to get used to. I grab the blanket and try and crawl backwards while pulling it over me, and fall onto my back as it's jerked tight and yanked back taut, sending my head crashing on the smooth stone below me and bouncing my skull painfully. Damon sniggers, his foot on the edge of it as he looks down at me with complete disdain, laughing at how much he is enjoying making a show of me, and I have no choice but to try and pull the blanket from him once more, my face reddening with heat, aware of many more muffled sniggers and laughs at my expense, and I can't conceal the shame washing over me. I know others are watching. My senses are hitched up real high and my body goosebumping all over in response. I can feel them on me from all over, and I want to sink into the ground and disappear. I yank, but the blanket begins to tear from the pressure nearer my end, and I have no choice but to stop or be left with a scrap that will cover nothing. I know others are watching. My senses are hitched up real high and my body goosebumping all over in response. I can feel them on me from all over, and I want to sink into the ground and disappear. I yank, but the blanket begins to tear from the pressure nearer my end, and I have no choice but to stop or be left with a scrap that will cover nothing. For God's sake, Damon. This isn't the time or place. My father is staring at you. Pack it in, Colton snarls his way, pushes him from behind and comes into view, shoving him off the blanket and swoops down to pick it up with speed. He walks forward in 2 confident strides and hands it straight to me, bending lightly as he does so to make sure I get it without any more interference. I know he's only doing it to save face, exert his dominance in front of his father, and save Damon from punishment later. Either way, I'm for the first time ever thankful for him and relieved he is an alpha in the making. I reach out and take it gratefully, quickly pulling it around me and hiding what's on show, afraid to really look at him, but it's almost impulsive as his hand, still attached to the corner, briefly touches my shoulder in passing because of how speedy I am. Hot searing flash runs through my body alarmingly, igniting something tingly inside of me that I can't identify. Like being zapped by a low-strength taser, and I gasp at the contact, glancing up at him as he attempts to rise to standing, seemingly also recoiling for what was maybe just an electric shock. For one brief millisecond of synchronized surprise, our eyes lock. It's all it takes. 1 second of direct focus. A meeting of eyes I have never dared to look into before, and the worst thing in the world happens to me. We connect, visions, images, projections start flowing through my mind at neck-breaking speed that fries my brain, and I cannot break his gaze or look away. Startled into silence, locked in, and unable to fight what happens, my body rigid and paralyzed, controlled by this higher force as we're forcefully held. Trapped in an intense stare down, and his dark, almost black eyes eat into my soul. His memories, my memories, his fears, my fears. They become a jumbling mass of zooming information, flooding, invading my mind, and overtaking me as I'm body slammed with an overwhelming amount of emotions, in literal seconds, that could potentially zap your brain to death. My body, my heart, my soul, all pulled into this flash of breath, which completely spins my world on tilt, and changes everything instantaneously. Rooted to the spot, aware only of the darkest chocolate eyes on mine, unable to break freeze yet marooned. Like I suddenly found home, and his gaze goes from sworn enemy to lifeline in my darkness. Neither of us can do anything in our paralyzed state, but let it happen, until the wild ride of transferring all we are, we know we feel, is done, and we are left shell-shocked from the fallout, breathless, reeling from the invasion of his life, his memories, his history, pouring into my shocked memory banks. I finally snap out and fall backwards in a slump, released from whatever the hell that was and momentarily dazed, fully incapable of any kind of movement as I lay on the ground, startled into silence and lightheaded from what felt like a physical assault. Holy shit. Colton's voice waves my way, sounding equally shocked and as breathless as me, and I strain up to see him, also on the ground. On his knees though, looking like someone just sucker punched him in the stomach, and he falls forward to drop his palms on the ground to hold him steady, eyes wide, skin pale, unusually for his normal tanned hue. He looks like someone just told him the worst news he ever wanted to hear in his life, and he's reeling in the aftermath. Around us is complete and utter silence, like a pin could drop and be heard right now, and I have no idea what to think. They just imprinted. One solo voice squeaks out and echoes around us like someone announcing a death sentence. No. That can't have happened. Another, moments later. And then another, and another, the voices blending and blurring as my fingers find my skull, and I start scrubbing my head to get my brain to start functioning. To figure out what just happened to me, the mutterings of one or two become many, deafening as they all begin to verbalize their questions at what they just saw. Me? I did what? Number it can't be. I lay here, dumbfounded, and trying to pull my thoughts together, unsure why I now know how he likes his coffee, or his favorite song, or why I suddenly can't get the strong scent of him out of my nostrils, or the need to get up and go hug him, out of my brain. The crazy primal urge to get up and go sit on him and do things I never wanted to do before, or even a few seconds ago. It's like every part of my soul is suddenly attuned to him, even though he's feet away. I lay back down and try to breathe through the oncoming panic, trying to rationalize what this was, as I draw in air with shallow breaths, and try and let my body recover from the huge zap he gave me. Silence! Juan Santo demands with a venomous tone, echoing around the mountain, and like a sudden clap of thunder, his voice halts the rest of the chaotic noise, giving me some relief before my brain explodes. He storms towards us and physically drags his son up by the shoulder from his slumped position. gripping and hauling him like a madman, and angrily turning to face him once on his feet, raw anger erupting all over. "Tell me you didn't," he demands at him in a cruel tone, but Colton seems as spangled as me, knocked sideways and unsure what the hell just happened to us. His normally confident stance is loose, and he seems unsteady on his own legs. I don't know what that was. I don't know. His cocky, dominant tone is lacking too, and I can feel his eyes back on me as I struggle to sit up, pulling myself into a sitting ball, and finally have the courage to stare at them. As soon as I meet Colton's eyes again, that same jolt hits me in my heart and stomach, like a massive thud, and I know this isn't anything else. Heard enough about it to know what it is, saw it happen to others. The need to go over and wrap myself in his arms. The longing way we stop and gaze at one another as urge blots out sense and beast overtakes human reasoning. He stares at me with the same instinctual longing. I find myself throwing his way, the unspoken need to walk towards him and touch each other. We just imprinted, and the fates gave me my mate. Colton Santo is my destined alpha, the wolf that I'm meant to spend eternity with and follow him wherever he goes. Until the end of time, he's my path set in stone, my lover, my life, the father to my future offspring, and I can't imagine anything worse. Everything happens so fast that my head spins and I can barely catch my breath. Our imprinting sends the ceremony into quick disperse, and I'm dragged away by Santo's pack and ushered into an awaiting car, my clothes thrown in my face and ordered to go to the pack house and be quiet. Everything is in uproar as though I committed the crime of the century, and it rippled through everyone present. Juan exploded magnificently at the possibility that our future alpha just got betrothed to one of the lowliest of the packs, and I'm not exactly happy about it either. I've kept my head down for 10 years, stayed out of sight, in the shadows and away from drama the way others like me have not. Became almost invisible and made no real friends, all with my eye on one goal of escaping this place without any noise. Only to be put on show on the most important night of my life, in front of the entire mountain, and have everything come crashing down on top of me. This can't be happening. I can barely breathe as the panic sets in that this is not goddamn reversible, and not a small thing that can get brushed aside, and me sent on my merry way. Imprinting is for life. There is only one way out, and that's death. That is not an option for me. We can choose to walk away and ignore it. But the bond won't break, and the urge to bind us together will only grow stronger if we fight it. That's how this works. Everyone knows that. If I leave, I'll crave for him for the rest of my life, until it pushes me to insanity or even death from a broken soul. If I stay, then I'll never be able to fight the need to be with him, and Juan made that excruciatingly clear that it will never happen. Bustled from car to dark alley, and only given seconds to pull my clothes on under my blanket before I am forcibly pushed in a side door and almost fall flat on my face into a bright corridor. The men charged with bringing me here are being less than hospitable with their shoving me around and manhandling me cruelly. I feel like I'm covered in bruises, and I still have residue blood over my body and face. I oofed at the impact of meeting hard floor. Body already tired and weak from what I endured tonight. I'm still reeling from the drugs and the first transformation of my life. On edge, hackles rising, and having to deal with this new trauma of semi-kidnapping. I feel like I'm trapped in some sort of daymare, and just want to wake up before I have an all-out freak-out. We are met by a tall, familiar, attractive blonde in the hall as she stalks towards me, and without missing a beat, she slaps me hard across the face and sends my flying off my feet and skidding into the wall. Burning pain engulfing my cheek and eye socket as I groan it out, and spreads across my head and down my neck, rendering me senseless for a second. Slightly dazed with the force of that bitch's assault as I try to pick myself back up. but fail when a foot stomps on my spine to force me back down. How dare you? How goddamn dare you? You whore. He's mine. We have dated for 2 years, and you think you can sweep in and take him. You are a goddamn nothing, and you have no rights to him. She's livid, puce with rage, and comes bearing down on me, climbing on top of me while winding her fingers around my throat like a crazed psycho. In my panic, I lash back to defend myself, but she's bigger and stronger, and the glow of amber in her eyes tell me she's on the verge of turning. She's another of the pack who turned young and has her gifts well under control, while I haven't begun to explore mine yet. I'll kill you before I see you take him from me. Her grasp tightens, and I try to claw at her face, struggling for breath, panicking, momentary blacking out before she is hauled from on top of me by 2 strong arms and lifted high up into the air. Enough. She didn't do this any more than I did. Colton's voice cuts through her hysterical squealing, and he drops her on her feet away from me, standing between her and me as he turns to her and tries to reason and shut her up. His whole body taut and alert, as though he's ready to take her on, and I'm not sure it won't go that way. Females when angry tend to turn and attack, even people they love. It's how disputes are resolved most of the time among wolves. Physical fights are the norm, even between mates. Go home, Carmen. Let us deal with this. The elders and the shaman are coming with my father. Just go and let us figure this out. He sounds pissed, that deep commanding tone, so like his father's, only with a boyish edge. Why can't they just kill her and be done with it? She's nothing to the pack, she wails at him. Desperately, the noise prickling at my ears, so I wince in reaction with an "Asha" and grasp to cover them. And I wonder if this is a new thing with my senses, hearing things more painfully. Are you dense? Killing her will kill me. Hurting her hurts me. Even a slap. We imprinted. We are one. Her soul, my soul. Did you never pay attention in class? He sounds as mad as her now, and he throws a look back down at me, cowering on the floor, dazed and in shock about the turn of events. Not mentally ready for any of this. Here he turns. A softness changing his handsome face slightly, making him more appealing, less cold, and he extends a hand to help me up. It's the first time I ever saw any real humanity in this guy, and it renders me mute as I let him pull me to my feet. That heat and transference of sparks at the slight touch makes me jump, and that familiar urge to need more of him. Want his touch makes me pull my hand away quickly, internally bristling and inhaling fast to cool the sudden heat that rides up my neck and face. Blushing, I look away to break contact. He frowns at the sensation too, and backs off as soon as he lets me go. Obviously uneasy at how much chemistry is stirring up from something so simple. It's not a secret him and Carmen have been a steady thing for a long time. So I guess he feels like this is somehow cheating on her. She watches like a hawk. I can feel her hatred burning through my soul and wishing harm on me. The sting on my face tells me she probably left a handprint, and I try not to glare her way and enrage another outburst. I swear to God, Cole. Her voice breaks and tears spring from her eyes, instantly dampening her cheeks. If you leave me for this little reject. For a second, the pure heartbreak in her tone gets at me, cutting me in the chest, and I'm a little sorry for her, not really knowing what love feels like. Or what this would do to my heart if it was me. I guess a slap isn't comparable to a devastated soul. And the thought of losing someone you thought was your mate, that stupid part of me that cares, whether I should or not, and I find myself staring at the floor guiltily, as though somehow accepting I've done something wrong here. I feel ashamed. Be quiet. Go home, and I'll talk to you later. Right now, we are nothing until this gets rectified. I can't have 2 mates. You know the laws. It's the edge in his tone that signals him executing his dominance, and she recoils quickly, knowing when not to question or argue, even if her face gives away the pain in what he said. Alphas have a tone, reserved for times when pack animals won't obey. It somehow renders us mute and makes us do what is asked of us. And this is one of those times. Even I tremble at the effect it has on everyone present and have to stop myself from slinking back into the shadows. Not every male has the gift. Only those who were born to lead. Alora. That's your name, right? Colton turns to me, surprising me with the change. Those chocolate eyes melting me when we connect, and I have to look away again, too pulled towards him for my own liking and nod shyly. No control over his effect on me, and I don't like this one bit. Freedom was calling to me. And now this, annoying, unfightable desire to be wrapped around the one guy I never wanted to know. Or Lori. I get called both. It's a feeble, quiet mumble, and I inwardly curse myself out for sounding as weak as his pack always labeled me. It's no wonder they cast my bloodline to the reject pile. I'm no match for an alpha. Relax. I'm not going to hurt you. It's his voice in my head, and I flicker up. Startled that he spoke to me inside my mind and not verbally. We're not supposed to be able to do that when both in human form, and especially not when we're not from the same pack. How can you? I start to ask, replying in the same way without thinking, and then inhale sharply as I realize. I just did the same thing. I've no idea if that breaks rules considering who he is. We imprinted. We have a link. We can hear each other even from miles away. No distance is too far. No one else can tap into this. It's like our own personal telephone line with dampeners. He isn't looking at me, but watching Carmen walk down the hall, crying into her own hands and creating a pitiful picture. I can sense his pain from watching her go, and it pains me too. Feeling what he feels, another downside to now being connected to this guy. I don't want to feel heartbreak or pain or any of this crap. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this. The honesty and ache in my response brings his eyes to mine. And we do that weird thing, where we lock eyes, get a tremor of something we can't deny, and both look away again. Neither want this. That much is clear. You didn't do this. Fate did. Now we just have to figure out how to undo it, if that's even possible. The hesitation in his tone catches me off guard, and despite myself I look at him properly. His side profile of chiseled square jawline, sallow skin and dark hair to match those dark eyes and brows. Colton is tall, muscular, and fit, which is only enhanced by being among the biggest wolves in the pack, even at his age. His family originated from Colombia, and you can see his heritage clearly. In the best kind of way. Despite his mother being Caucasian. Me, I'm just a good old country white. Bland hair, plain girl, and nothing special or beautiful that I know of. Carmen is a goddess compared to me. The atmosphere turns cold as a troop of men come marching in from the same door we did. And I'm pushed out of the way ungraciously by one of them. I get knocked sideways, unable to stop myself, and for sure know I am spiraling down as I lose my footing, still on unsure legs after tonight's ceremony, and unable to stop myself. The low growl and quick reflexes of Colton as he jolts in beside me and catches me to rights. Sends my head spinning, his arms lassoing me and stopping my body colliding with the concrete wall, instead hitting his chest as I grasp on impulsively. His eyes glow amber over my head as he death glares his displeasure at the men, unconcealed as that flash of warning oozes from him. That fierce mate protection coming out instinctively, and I honestly don't know how to react. Becoming someone's mate is as much about instincts as anything else. It changes you and makes you feel, do things you didn't before. Even if he hated me before this, that need to protect me and look after me will become his mission in life and vice versa. It's completely crazy and I can't believe it's happening to me. His father, however, almost takes his head off with the rage-filled bellow he aims his way. I realize a little too little That's who shoved me out of the way so forcefully right then. Did you just growl at me? He snarls our way, and Colton curls his fingers around my waist and arm firmly. Juan lowers his brows severely and glares at his son furiously, moving into his headlink to continue his chastisement. The way Colton stiffens around me tells me so. Locked eye to eye. An intense standoff as the air thickens and his energy bristles. Captured in a tight embrace I know I shouldn't try and break free from. Although my body is responding quite happily to the contact, feeling his anger radiating from him and the anxious uptight bubbling inside of me, as I start to sense what he's feeling. I was never good with aggression and rage, and now the overwhelming amount he can spit out, as my mood takes on his, has me recoiling. Colton has a sea of dominant fury inside of him, and his hostility knows no bounds. I try to blot out the projections I'm getting, and close my eyes to focus on my breathing instead. Combating growing heat and pulsing need from his touch, and fear and faintness from all the negative emotions flying between these two terrifying men, I feel like a piece of raw meat hung between two ferocious beasts. It's like I don't have full control of my mind or feelings anymore. And try as I might. Colton now lives in my body as much as I do. They argue inwardly silent on the surface. But all in the corridor remain still and patient as they are meant to when their alpha demands. Juan is one of the most intimidating of the pack leaders, and I guess it's why he moved so easily to prime position. Colton's father spins on his heel, finally signaling they are done, and marches off into a nearby doorway, clicking his fingers and gesturing us to follow. It's all so hostile and unnerving that I flinch, heart erupting into hammering thuds. If people could just keep their hands to themselves and off my mate, that would be great. Thanks. Colton mumbles it under his breath, not meaning for me to hear, and I throw him an awkward glance. My heart flipping over, and my stomach churning uneasily at his words. He called me his mate. I can hear you. And for the time being, it's what you are. We imprinted. We don't exactly have a choice. Colton throws me a look that translates to relax and follow me, and I mutely do so, cheeks burning from stupidly letting him read my thoughts. Embarrassed that I'm stupid enough to not remember that 30 seconds after figuring it out, he fully lets me go and my body cools a little, somehow suddenly cold from the loss of him. And a weird emptiness fills me instead. I follow behind him quickly, into a large room that looks like a study with extra couches. The men all file in and sit down in random places, and Colton ushers me to a nearby chair, padded and semi-shadowed in the corner, out of direct line of any of the men. He stands close by, and waits as his father circles a bookcase, and comes to perch in the chair at the desk, looking out at all of us in his position of leader. I need solutions. This, he points at Colton and me, happens over my dead body. My son is destined to be alpha one day, and I will be damned if his lineage is diluted by a mongrel with bad breeding. She is not going to be our Luna. Fix this, find a way. I don't care what the history books say. There has to be a way to break the bond and sever the connection, so he is free to mate up with a chosen female. The stern tone of a man who doesn't want to hear excuses, and yet a tiny ounce of hope fills my chest, that there might still be a chance I can get out of this, and hear, and follow my plan to get the hell away from Radstone once and for all. It's even weirder that at the same time, though, a desolate pain uppercuts me in the heart at the thought of leaving him, winding me, blindsiding me for a second. You cannot fight fate. There are consequences if you ignore destiny. Imprinting does not happen to us all, and when it does, you do not question it. The shaman is quick to verbalize. But Juan slamming his hand on his desk, sending a loud thud through all of us, brings silence once more. I stare at my feet and will the ground to open up and take me. Crushing pressure on my chest as anxiety envelops me. Did you not hear me when I said, this is not happening? She is not going to be my son's mate. I will kill her before I let that happen. Silence befalls the room as his biting tone echoes in the air. Although I swear, I hear the most subtle of growls come from Colton's way, so close beside me and make sure I don't look at him. Instead, I stare at my hands in my lap and pray for this to be over. Shaking internally and genuinely fearful for my life. Never have I actually wanted to be left to go back to the orphanage, to spend time in my room with Vanka. But now, it's so calling to me. I don't want anything as much as I want that right now. Well, except maybe this weird primal urge for the guy at my left to calm down a bit and stop plaguing me. I can feel him overly so. Way too in tune and aware of him, even if he is 3 feet away. My body and mind are doing some weird things in relation to him. And as terrified as I should be right now, I don't feel it when he moves closer and somehow calms me without even looking my way. One backward step of maybe a foot, and he soothes my nerves back into warm, gooey submission. That inner heat spreading as he gets close enough that his scent sparks some internal fire in me. Then your son will die too, and we lose our future leader. You cannot break the bond without severe consequences. The choice has been made. Fate has chosen for him, and you must obey. The shaman comes back undeterred by Juan's anger and stands as though to press the point. He's low-toned and confident in his wisdom, and does not seem intimidated in any way. He can choose to sever the bond if he wishes. But history has shown us that mates who do both die. The only other option is denial to consummate. They choose to walk away, no mark is made, no union at all, and deny the bond completely. It will never die, and they will live lives craving what the other can give them, no matter who they end up with. Is that what you want for your son? All eyes turn on Juan. So much tension in this room. As the elders internally talk so that I cannot hear them, Colton paces and I can tell he too is privy to what is being said. They are his pack after all, and 2 are his blood. Father and uncle, he doesn't seem happy, and the waves of his anger are all lapping over me and affecting my own sanity, dampening the heat, replacing it with his rage. I can't take it anymore, as minutes tick by and my nerves fray. To the point I feel like I may scream. Some internal burst of nervous crazy whooshes out. I'll leave. I don't want this either. I blurted out into the deathly silence as hysteria gets the best of me, and literally every single face turns to me in shocked response, like they suddenly remembered I was here in this corner. I know I just spoke out of turn and disrespected everyone in this room. But I'm sat here wearing my own dried blood, shredded emotions, and exhaustion pushing through. My head's a mess. And in the space of 30 minutes, I discovered that being a virgin doesn't mean you cannot get crazy urges to strip naked and jump someone's bones, even if that's someone you previously avoided like the plague. I've pictured him naked at least twice without even meaning to, since he gave me every intimate one of his memories. And some of those are him showering. What? What? Both Colton in my head and his dad verbally. In unison, and I panicked that I just spat this out loud. It was the plan, my intentions. I mean, after tonight, my turning, I was leaving, going away, and it doesn't have to change. I sound insane, babbling like a fool with verbal diarrhea and aware of the way all eyes are eating up my weak presentation of my crap contribution. I should have just run when I had the chance and screwed the running ceremony. That won't break the bond. We'll still be connected, still linked. It will just make us miserable. Don't you see? What happened tonight? It changed everything for both of us. Colton sounds deflated, and I get the visual of him and Carmen together kissing, right from his head to mine, and have to shake it away as insane jealously claws at my insides from out of nowhere, proving his point. Irrational, illogical, but there it is. And he didn't even mean to project his sad thoughts about her my way. Then what? Because all I am hearing is hopeless submission or death. My anger snaps, and out of somewhere deep inside, my bravado peaks and pushes me to my feet, voice strong and frustration seeping through. An inner surge of tingling electricity as my emotions peak and Colton looks at me, in a very odd way, suddenly stopping and staring insanely into my eyes while furrowing his brow dramatically. Screwing up that cute face. They're not amber. He comes out with the most random reply, and I blanch at him like he has two heads and no idea what he's talking about. What? I stammer as he paces towards me. Your eyes. When your inner wolf peaks, they're not amber. They're red. No one has red. We all have amber. He stalks towards me, grabbing my hand and spins me to him so he can inspect me closely. Show me, he urges, and I gawp at him in bewilderment, confused at the sidetracking of this conversation, and feeling like I just fell through a reality hole. If I knew how to do it on command, then I would, but as I only transformed for the first time and have no idea how to call my inner wolf into my eyes again, I just stare at him completely dumbfounded with the importance of a color. Why does that matter? I'm aware that despite the more urgent topic in hand, the shaman has moved towards me also, and so has one of the silent elders. A formidable, tall and muscular elder whose gray-white hair is not successful in lowering his intimidation levels. Because you are part white, and now Cole sees red in your eyes. It matters, now show us. Or I will make you fully turn on my command, and you won't enjoy it. He seethes my way. Full-on hostility in his tone, and I shrivel back, scalded and instantly fearful. Colton reacts instinctively at the veiled threat, and chaos ensues. In the flash of a blink, he's between me and the elder, growling, eyes glowing wildly, body larger and bristling with tension as he turns to him and huskily warns him off. My mate, mine you touch her. I will exert my right to maim or kill to protect her. I don't care who you are in this pack. His tone drops to satanic levels and I recoil behind him, seeing the ripple of spines up his back as he begins to transform aggressively. My stomach hits my knees, making me weak. Unsure what else to do as the shaman intervenes as fear paralyses me to the spot. See, this is what happens when you delay the bond. The urge gets insane the longer you deny it. The need to protect, the need to be joined. It creates madness. Colton, be still. No one is going to touch your mate without your say-so, and we will look at her eyes in time. Breathe and come back to us. He places a hand on his shoulder and gently brings Colton back to my side, lifting my hand and places it on Colton's gently before patting both and setting us down. The instant spark and warmth generated between us gives me all kinds of safe and familiar vibes I've not known in almost 10 years. Not since I last saw my parents alive and home. It seems to do the same to him as his eyes fade back to brown and he inhales slowly, bringing peace to the aura between us. His mate holds the key to bringing him calm. Be that now. We need to talk without you both here. Go, the room through there. The shaman points us towards an adjoining door and Colton grasps my fingers in his tightly, his energy pulsing through mine, and it does seem to bring him back from turning. I can't explain it, but here holding his hand, it's the first time in a long time I feel a connection of love for anyone. That sense of belonging that I lost the day my family left me. I barely knew him this morning, and yet, here, and now, my instincts are that I would die for him if I had to, and the longer this plays out, the stronger this need to be near him gets. It's insanity, and I have no understanding of how this can be, but it is what it is. Colton is part of me now, and I can't do anything about it. While being physically joined causes all sorts of inner sparks and sizzles as tension builds between us and I move obediently, as he pulls me with him. We are ushered to the door, hands still entwined, and I follow him closely. The heady need to wrap myself around him worse when we have prolonged contact, and as much as my head tells me to let go, I can't seem to. The growing ache in my stomach and pelvis is getting irritatingly intense, and I am more than aware of his skin feels against mine. Our hands slotted together. Warm on warm, and it's weirdly sensual. Colton leads me through to the other room and shuts the door firmly behind us, still holding my hand and keeping me by his side as he turns to me. He gazes down at our entangled fingers for a long second. Seems like he too is telling himself to let go, but he doesn't. We stand stiffly, a pulsating energy growing between us as the air thickens, and I find it harder to breathe the longer. He's this close, fully aware of him towering over me in all his beautiful muscular glory, hot body and way too good looks. Even his voice does crazy tingly things to me, and standing absorbing his heat, inhaling his unique scent, I start to get clammy in really embarrassing places. My eyes keep straying to his face, his mouth, his really pretty face, and I edge closer absent-mindedly, biting on my lip as crazy thoughts about leaning up and biting his course through my brain alarmingly. I need to cool down and pull this back in. Hormones are obviously well and truly kicking in with his proximity, and I need to breathe a little. How can I want to kiss someone so badly that a few hours ago I never even knew? I have a girlfriend. Did have one. My head's a mess. He looks instantly distraught and squeezes my hand in his a little forcefully before reluctantly releasing me and stepping back, calming my jets as guilt punches me in the stomach, and I realize maybe he's not getting as hot and bothered as I am standing here. This is insane. I don't know you. How can we? He paces away from me, seemingly in turmoil, then past me twice, back and forth, and then turns to me again. I shrug at him, unsure what else to say. If I knew the answers, then I guess we wouldn't be here like this. I'm a little out of my depth and struggling to get this raging fire under control in my pelvis, as what I assume is my libido finally introduces herself to me, and I have to stop checking out his ass as he keeps waving it past me. It's making me all squirmy and uneasy, and so sure he can probably tell with a look that I am about 3 seconds away from launching at him. Shuffling from foot to foot and swallowing hard, blowing out heavily to release this growing pressure in my stomach. Please tell me you are feeling this too. That this is not just me. He stops and frowns at me, his eyes looking a little hazy and intense as he stares at my mouth and almost electrocutes me with the connection. I glance away, face flushing with his effects on me, and try to focus on the floor, the table, a wall, and cool off this really hugely, suddenly suffocating room around us. I can feel him without touching him, his presence ebbing into me and stirring up all kinds of longings and sensations. I think that's how it's meant to work. We're supposed to want to, you know, mate. I blush as I say it and look away again, overwhelmed with sudden shyness, uneasy with this admission he wants to kiss me, while I'm all kinds of flustered, hot, tingly, and itching to slide my hands over that strong, wide chest and... Oh God, stop. I mean, I do too, want to kiss him, that is. I have done since after the whole imprinting thing, but I just didn't think we should be admitting those kinds of things to one another, especially when neither of us actually wanted this. And I'm finding it really hard to breathe at all as my lungs constrict, and my heart flakes out with him being close enough to inhale. Lick, grope. I really need to get a grip. I pull the neckline of my t-shirt to release the heat coming off in droves from me, and fan my face to push these insane urges and mental images of him naked out of my head. I want him to kiss me so badly. I can almost taste it. I don't get a chance to give any kind of verbal response or even encouragement. I don't even get a chance to look up or think, and his sudden sweep into me, his fingers yanking my chin up as his lips crash into mine, knock me for 6. I'm shocked. Frozen for a second, by the instant lip-to-lip assault. But as soon as his warm mouth molds to mine, I literally lose all control. I kiss him back, hormones let loose, and that craving hunger finding what it wanted after all, with a fever incomparable to anything, and get lost in the sweetest tasting pastime ever invented. Now, I know what an urge taking over feels like, and my inner wolf pushes beyond any control I have. His lips open mine, tongues meeting for the first time, and I experience my first ever French kiss with a clearly practiced mouth. I groan, succumb to his expertise, as he yanks me into him and bodily crashes us together intimately. Our teeth clash with sheer ferocity in the devouring way we got at one another, and his hand rakes my body, grinding me to him like he can't get enough as I completely succumb. Lust fuels the animals in us, and he picks me up under the thighs, his grip bruising my tender skin as he wedges his body between my legs, pulling them around his waist and walks me back so he can jam me up against the wall to fully push himself against me. He kisses me harder, with a passion that sets us on fire, and I grasp and claw at his shoulders and neck in utter abandonment, scratching, biting, kissing, and finding my rhythm and confidence in what he's doing to my mouth. His tongue caresses mine, and mentally I blurt insanely, "I want you inside of me. I'm going to self-combust if you don't." Not even sure if I mind linked, or where this thought even came from, given I'm a virgin and never had a sexual urge in my life. But it only seems to make him kiss me all the more passionately, all sense lost as this bond engulfs us, and he grinds into me until my urges reach fever pitch of heightened horniness, and I start panting with the effort. As my body vibrates and craves his desperately, I wrap my arms around his neck tightly, almost choking him with the way I latch on, devouring him with equal fervor and find my motion, rubbing my pelvis up against what is clearly an erection, a very solid bulge in his pants. As we meet in every way, it doesn't even shame or shock me. Instead, it fuels my need to strip him naked and get on top of him to complete this union. He feels like the best thing in the world, smells, tastes, touches in a way that drives me insane with need, and I now realize this bond is more powerful than even I gave it credit for. I want him so badly. I might actually lose my mind if we don't do this. Grinding into one another, my crotch fitted to his and breathing labored, I experienced the real first moments of a building climax, even though we haven't done anything properly. Just the motion of his rough jeans between my thighs, over my panties, his kiss, his hands on me, and the feel of him, has me unraveling insanely. I never knew much about sex before today. And now, I literally cannot contain the need to have it with him, and might even get my first orgasm without losing my virginity. Colton catches my hand roughly and pulls it above my head, pinning me back against the wall hard, crazily sexy, exposing my neck to him while my arm pulls my long hair back out of his way. I turn my face, knowing what he wants almost instinctively, heart hammering through my labored breathing, and tighten my grip around him to keep him close. Sliding away from my mouth to my neck, he licks from the base of my throat and up to my jawline, igniting a wave of tingles and goosebumps that makes me clench my thighs together around him. He groans at the pressure, which shoves his hard-on against me firmly, my core pulsing with need, as he focuses on something else entirely. Mark me. Take me. I'm yours. Finalize the union. The wanton voice of a girl begging for release that I don't recognize, and he responds with a low growl that stirs everything low down inside of me. I want nothing more. God, I need you so badly. Primal urge is no match for common sense. And as his teeth elongate and graze the soft skin of my neck, holding me taut against the wall, fully submissive, angling me in readiness to leave his mate mark on my neck, I moan in pleasure and squeeze my eyes closed at his touch, holding my breath as I wait for the one thing that will calm the insanity in this need between us. A transference of blood and sex, and we are united for life. bearing marks that tie us together and shows everyone we're bonded. I tense and exhale as his hot breath and soft mouth nestle on the naked skin near my jugular, and a sharp graze presses against the pulsing spot of my throat, a tiny inkling of piercing points pricking into the first thin layers, fully ready for the biting pain I know will probably come. But so close to self-combustion that I think it might make me climax. I dig my nails of my one free hand into his shoulder, clamping onto him brutally in sheer ecstasy and swell, with the transference of the pleasure he feels as it consumes me too. Seems he likes a bit of pain. An almighty high-pitched screech assaults my senses, shatters glass in the room around us in dramatic mini-explosions, combusts inside my head so crazily painfully that I snap my eyes open and scramble to claw my palms over my ears, yanking them from him. Colton's body tenses, and he releases me clumsily, dropping me to my feet in alarm that has us scrambling to shield our ears in unison, brains shuddering with the excruciating squealing whine on our elevated senses. Colton bristles into half-turning teeth, claws face-changing, as his protective instincts make him fight-ready and poised to protect me, turning on the source as he tries to stay upright, and I crumble behind him to the floor in a useless heap, clutching at my head to drown it out before my brain actually pops. How could you, Carmen wails, so insanely tonal? It's like a dog whistle and things on the shelves in the room begin to vibrate as she keeps that infernal noise going. It dawns on me, this is one of her gifts. She can shatter with high pitch frequency. And I clutch my ears in alarm as she begins to howl louder. Colton somehow seems to be more able to battle it and attempts to tackle her into the hall to try and stop the eardrum puncturing noise. It's insanely painful. You said you loved me. She screams at him, pushing back to get at me, losing her sanity and going for the kill, her eyes glowing brightest orange as she loses all self-control as her nails elongate to full-on wolf claws and her teeth begin to peak. He changes from pushing her out to dragging her back away from me and wrestling what is a mid-transforming she-wolf. I do. I don't know what I'm saying. Calm down, Carmen. He picks her up from behind, covering her mouth with one hand harshly, pressing until she relents for a gasp of air and turns her around before pinning her to the wall to restrain her and get control. The tone that dominates, the one none of us can fight, comes out of him ruthlessly, and reminds me why all should be afraid of the Santo Alphas. Stop it now, and stop screaming. He growls at her way devilishly, and even though I'm not even saying a word, I instantly slam my mouth shut too. Instant feeble submission because he alpha-toned us, and there's not a lot you can do about it. She instantly quiets, falling into utter silence, relief immediate, but my ears are ringing in the aftermath. And I am so dazed I can't immediately get up, as I finally scramble myself to my knees to try. The door bursts open and Juan storms forward, half man, half beast, semi-transformed in a ripped shirt and jacket, ready to take on the intruder, and stops dead in his tracks. The elders and shaman hot, on his tail in similar state of urgency. And they all gawp at the scene before them. What's going on? What happened? He commands snappily, seething rage, and I sink down into the corner once more, huddling into a ball and wishing myself 1,000,000 miles away from all of this. This just can't get any worse. Your son was in the middle of marking that reject. My mate has betrayed me. She wails again in desolation, and I feel every single angry glare turn from her to me, and then Colton, as silence deafens us all. I pace my room for the 100th time, sighing, frustrated, and mentally working through the war going off inside of me, and end up arhing out loud in frustration. So over this crap already, and tired of feeling this strung out. I feel like the events of the last few days have changed me in subtle ways, and wish I could go back to the before. Things have not been going well since that day in the pack house. that changed literally everything in my life, and I'm a prisoner in the orphanage until further notice. Under lock and key metaphorically, through pain of death should I disobey. Colton's father erupted when he realized that being left alone for mere minutes was enough to send his son spiraling into hormonal lust for his new mate, throwing all sense aside and almost marking me. So now we're forbidden from being near one another indefinitely. His father thinks he can control fate by just refusing to let things run their course. Despite everything the shaman warned and tried to preach, Juan is adamant. I'll be the downfall of the pactum, should Colton honor our bond. And I goddamn hate him for interfering and thinking he can control me in this way. I'm not one of his pack. He has no claim to me or my bloodline, and since I turned I'm free to leave this stupid mountain, but he won't let me. Nothing like this has ever happened before in the history of imprinting, and the shaman warned of terrible foreboding, should we anger the fates and deny something as strong as an imprintation. Juan didn't care. He only cares about what Juan wants, what the Santos need, and I'm an annoying little fly in his soup, not worthy of his son's attentions or his seed. My running away plan is pointless, because my soul is now linked to Colton in every way. Meaning I'm not allowed to leave Radstone at all. To go off on my own, for fear I endanger the life of their future alpha, in my unworthy, incapable way, in case some terrible mishap befalls me. If I die out there in the big bad world, then so does he. I mean, the fates did make your mate become inseparable from you, for a reason. Beyond lust and procreation, the desire to never be parted is as much about survival. The alpha is meant to protect his femme at all costs, and she is meant to shadow her dominant for life, always by his side, to watch his back and become an invincible unit. They become one. If one falls, they both fall. So basically, after being screamed at by Carmen until my ears bled, literally, and they still hurt, bullied into a corner by Juan, who threatened to tear me apart, and Colton almost took his head off, and then dragged home to house arrest by some of the overly handsy aggressive Santo pack. I'm literally confined to a life inside these walls, with no contact from the person fate decided would be the other half to my soul for an eternity. Everything sucks. Just goddamn, all the way to hell and back, sucks. Happy sucky 18th birthday. Alora, it's going swell, so far. We're forbidden from linking or talking or seeing one another, and I doubt that will ever change. Bonding is for life and distance won't do very much about it. You cannot sever a bond. You can choose to deny it, ignore it if you can. But Colton has to be the one to reject me. Or I will be, and currently still am, his mate. He said the words. He verbalized the choice and started to mark me. Juan cannot make that choice for him. He has to say the words to me. I have to hear it from him before it breaks the union we started. Not that it does much in terms of our link, but for his pack, for the code. He can't have me as his mate and then go back to Carmen without doing this first. One mate. It has been agony though. And the shaman was correct in that denying the bond only makes it worse. I swear, I've been dreaming, obsessing about him since we were pulled apart, and I can't sleep or eat for pining for the mate I will never have as long as his father has any say. Even if he made it clear he wants me to. It's so crazy. Given that I didn't know him at all, and now I know everything about him. Can feel him. See him in my mind's eye. And even hear that sexy, subtly accented Latino voice of his whenever I want. He's ingrained on me now. He is in my head, creating dark, unhealable holes in my heart, and my entire being feels empty and lost without the other half of me to complete it. His kiss has ruined me in so many ways, and I replay those moments until I scream in agony and try to push the taste and feel of him out. I never knew this kind of pain could exist, and now I curse the fates for doing this to me. Why they would inflict this kind of uncurable disease is beyond me. It's a form of insanity, and I am powerless to cure myself, no matter how strong I think I am. I'm desperate to reach out and link to him. For just 1 second, to appease my eternal cravings. But as I have heard nothing from him, I'm assuming he too agrees with his father, that for the future of the pack we should have no contact. Considering he closed down the headlink and I can't get to him at all, dreaming about him. Smelling his scent on the wind when it blows from the south is driving me crazy. And I have no idea how to fix myself while I don't even know what we are. Held captive, still his mate, yet denied all that goes with it. The only upside to my turning and finally becoming my true self in all of this is the physical difference, which shocked me when I finally got home to wash myself free of the grime and blood caking. Every inch of me, catching sight in the mirror of the bathroom. It held me still with disbelief as I took myself in slowly and digested the image staring back at me. The woman before me in the mirror, where a girl once stood, is almost like a stranger to me. Yet not. Still Alora in a way. I still recognize myself as me. Yet I'm angular, fuller-lipped, clearer-skinned. My features somehow better without changing too much, so I can't put my finger on the why. My hair's thicker, fuller, lighter, so that instead of mousy brown, it's a highlighted caramel with hints of honey and gorgeous waves. My eyes greener, dazzling almost, and my body is toned in places I don't think I could ever improve on. It enhanced, tweaked, and brought me up to par with the already turned walking around this kingdom. No longer plain, I'm desirable, which brings its own problems. Males in heat circle me whenever I venture down to the kitchen or out into the courtyard for air. The orphanage still has many who live under this roof, even after turning, who have no desire to leave. I may have imprinted on a mate, but I bear no mark to solidify a union. Therefore, I'm mateless in their eyes and available, and I need to watch my back. Not all are bound by pack rules in this new era. Generally, males treat femmes with respect after turning, but not all. Hormones, lack of a mate, and sometimes undirected testosterone levels all contribute to rogue males with little consideration of punishment when fueled by a need to have sex. We are primal animals, and sex is in our basic everyday makeup once we turn for the first time. I know I'm already suffering for the cravings to be fulfilled. My body yearning for my mate to join with me, until I feel like I may turn inside out with the internal painful pangs for his body. The annoying part is that no one else will do, and I have zero interest in any kind of instant relief with any other male, or any form of self-pleasure. Not that I would know how. It's not been high on my list of priorities in my life. I've become aware, more than ever now, that I am no longer safe in this home when surrounded by unmated males. A lack of a real pack means a lack of protection, and any kind of consequences for a male who brutally takes what he wants. We live in a cruel world, and as an unwanted no one cares about the rejects, especially not if one reject attacks and violates another. We have no backup. It doesn't matter if every single one of them saw me imprint on Colton. It's public knowledge. Juan is denying the bond, and I've been sent to dwell here to stay away from his son. They know not to kill or maim me, but messing me up a little, doing unspeakable things. His son would recover the pain quickly, and not carry the emotional scarring that I would. I'm not safe. I stop my daily ritual pacing and slump down on my bed. Aware Vanka has come in, grabbed some belongings and left again. She too is keeping her distance since the turning. It seems my public shaming with Colton put me in some kind of social outcast list, among even my own fellow unwanteds. Not one of them has looked my way or talked to me in days. No one wants to know me or be seen associating with the girl who had the audacity to bond to someone way above her station. Especially not Prince Santo himself. Like I somehow orchestrated all this, and it wasn't fate at all. Committed some kind of heinous sin that marks me as the lowest of the low. Even in terms of being in this crappy home, The only thing keeping me from being killed is the fact Colton will die if anyone touches me. I mean, I'm sure if I was cornered and attacked by someone it would affect him too. But it doesn't seem to matter to the circling predators in this house. Most hate the Santos and any of the alphas for that matter because they know they will never be them or match up to them, and jealousy and ego are a lethal combination. They won't be hunted for inflicting pain on him, only if he dies. I lie down on my bed, my stomach growling with hunger pangs while tying my insides in knots. But I just can't seem to face eating. I try. I go down for allocated mealtimes, but I pick at my food and it all tastes like cardboard when I put it in my mouth. Nothing shifts this feeling. This deep emptiness creating a cavern inside of me, and it's bottomless and cold. The longer this goes on, the worse it gets. The only thing my body craves and wants, it can't have. I hate that he can mess me up like this, when we were strangers only days ago. It's not fair. I close my eyes and will myself to picture anything but him. Push the thoughts of him aside, and try to bring forward an image of my parents instead. Something I do when I need to self-calm or bring a happy memory into the depression of my daily life. I try to formulate my mother's face, to bring me some comfort, but they are all becoming blurry faded pictures in the dark recesses, so that seeing them properly is no longer easy at all. Time is taking them from me, and I have nothing left of them in any form after the elders destroyed all links to our past dead. I need to see you. The familiar voice comes out of nowhere, inside my head, and I jump at the intrusion, having a minor heart attack as my beat elevates crazily. Sitting up fast and spinning my head around to scan my room as if he is going to be standing right here. I know his voice well enough. I hear it in my dreams any time I sleep, and my body tingles in response at the contact. Goosebumping all over instantly, insides tingling with anticipation of seeing my mate again. I miss him beyond words, even if it's insane to do so. Where are you? I replied desperately, unable to contain the surge of adrenaline that hearing him inside my head gives me. Just a tiny ounce of contact, restoring some of this desolate emptiness I've been feeling since that night. I am in the pack house and we have to be discreet. Meet me in the West Forest, deep down by the old cavern, within the hour. Don't let anyone see you leave. I am being watched like a hawk, but I know how to get there unseen. We have to talk face to face. I almost sob with both the utter happiness at hearing from him and the fact I will get to see him for real. Not just an image in my head, to share physical air, and lay eyes on what my soul craves the most. The only thing dampening my crazy instant elation is the serious, almost monotone hint in his voice, and the lack of his excitement I'm experiencing as I pick up emotions through the link. Can't we talk like this first? I don't know if I can get out right away, and it just feels so good hearing you inside my head again. Don't go. Talk to me now. I sound as desperate as I feel. And I don't want him to close the link once more. I've waited endlessly to have him link me like this. It is harder like this. It only strengthens our bond when we link this way, and I have a lot to say. I told you, this needs to be face to face. There's something we have to do properly. My heart plummets into my stomach as his alpha tone hints through. And I know I'm being commanded and not asked. That doesn't sit well, and the sense of foreboding that sentence gives me almost rips my soul in two. It's obvious whatever he wants to say is not going to be about finding a way to make this work without his father's blessing. He wouldn't care about making our bond stronger if that were true. I try to ignore the suspicions, but I just can't. Just meet me, please. This time the tone is gone, and it's just sheer request with a little underlying plead. I hold in the urge to beg him to talk more now and push the tears aside, clinging on to hope that maybe face to face it will be something good. Not what I fear, and nod into my empty room. Heaviness consuming me as heartache gnaws at my stomach and chest. I'll be there. I sound deflated, sad, close to breaking, with a raw huskiness in my tone that I can't conceal, and wait for him to close the link between us. Like waiting on something painful to happen, and I hold my breath. Alora. I am. I wish it didn't have to be this way. I am sorry that it was me. Before I get a chance to reply to that strained husky reply, he closes off and I physically feel the link between us go dead. My mind quieting back to solitary, and I know he's gone. Even with a bond, a mate can choose to close the channel of communication at will. And he just did, like he has been doing for days. I stare at the wall numbly, lost in the moment, and how empty everything feels once more. Knowing that my prison is going to be eternal, and I can't see any other way out. I know I'm getting to see him finally. But everything about that interaction breaks me open, and I roll over into my cushions to sob it all out. Crying in pain. That's not too dissimilar to mourning my entire family 10 years ago. I feel worse now I've spoken to him briefly. This feels as much of a loss as then, even if it seems crazy and not even a comparison. Like something awful is coming, and that when I see him, it will only serve to cause me more devastation. A nagging voice of logic and haste in the back of my head pulls me out of my dark depressive state and reminds me that if I want to get to the forest within the hour, I need to get up and motivate myself. In human form, it's a trek and a half, and I need time to get ready. I've been living in my nightwear for days. In wolf form, I'll get there in minutes but completely naked. And I haven't yet tried to turn of my own accord, too preoccupied to even attempt it, and wouldn't know how to start without a little practice. I need to shower, change, make myself look half human at least, and hide the dark circles and shadows from pining my days away. I don't want him to see me at my worst. My body is weighed down with lethargy when I drag myself up, and it takes all my willpower to haul ass to the bathroom moments later. Desperate to find some relief in the meeting, even if the outcome won't be what my heart hopes. Torn in two, though, with a little shining light of delusional hope, telling me that maybe what he needs and wants to do face to face is mark me as his mate. That maybe we can do this in secret and find a way to be together. Or maybe not. I still cannot seem to get to grips with how this can be. How imprinting on a relative stranger can completely derail everything you knew before and make you so insanely in need of them that you would tie your life up in theirs just to be able to breathe. Pushing that person into the center of everything and craving them with the intensity of severe addiction. I know more about him than anyone in my life, and I have barely spoken to him. My mind is a chaotic mess of his life and mine, which once ran separate, yet now coincides and memories blur into one another. I have mental images of him at every age and random knowledge about things most people never know of their mate. I know everything he does. About himself, his life, his family. And I'm guessing the same goes for him too. You truly merge when imprinting, and now I see why it's so rare and so potent when it happens. You lose control of everything, and the only thing which matters from there on in is your mate. We are one. In every way possible, I wash quickly, dress, and dry my hair at speed, and attempt to fix my face to hide the blotchiness of my tears. Makeup was never my thing, but this sudden obsessive adoration for Colton makes me want to look my best for him, even if our meeting has a tone that doesn't spell happy ever after for me. I need to have hope. I clock watch as I apply the bare minimum enhancements and tousle my hair out with my fingers. As it forms light natural waves, for a moment, my reflection reminds me of my mother, and I swallow a lump in my throat as the shooting pain of remembered heartbreak hits me like a sucker punch and almost buckles my knees under the weight, bruising my heart in that unique way that only the loss of them can. I miss you, Mom. I miss all of you. I stare at the resemblance, biting back tears, and then shake her out of my head, like I have come accustomed to doing over the years, to bear the ache and turn to ready myself for getting out of here unseen. The only way I dealt with their loss was to never dwell too long on it. I never really learned any other way. I turn my attention back to what I need to do. I've never snuck out of the orphanage before, nor ever needed to, but I have a route plan, and I think I know how to get by unseen where no one will miss me for an hour or two. It's not like this place was ever set up as a prison, and we don't have any guards watching us. I scribble a hurried note for Vanka, should she care, which is doubtful, telling her I'm taking a book to a secluded part of the garden to hide and read, and know she won't bother checking. She doesn't care if I live or die most days, so she sure as hell won't care if I'm not in my room. Now I no longer have classes to attend. School ended for me on the day of my turning, as coincidence has it, and I should have been on my merry way to a new life. Much like Vanka is planning before the month is out. She's been making arrangements to head off, and soon this room will be mine alone. That will be the only upside to being stuck here for an eternity. It's not like any new orphans are heading in here, or have been for a decade. Newborns have families, and unless another war wipes out a lot more of us, then I doubt the orphanage will have any new rejects anytime soon. I yank on my sneakers, my blue hoodie, over my tight t-shirt and jeans, and slide out of my room into the deserted hall. It's during class time, so most of the kids are in the rooms of the left wing right now, learning all about our traditions and history, with some academia thrown in. For the most part, we are raised to live among humans, to fit in and exist in their world, so we learn all the same crap they do. And how to conceal what we are. I guess I was lucky in that the war confined us here, in our own school, and I didn't have to interact with non-wolves since then. Those of us left with no family got pulled out of our human schools, amid rumors of a deadly virus plaguing families on the mountain skirts, which meant no officials came knocking. Some of the alphas, like the Santos too, for their own protection and lineage, but general population were allowed to retain their places in the real world as though nothing happened. I don't plan on going back there anytime soon either. Now my change has drastically altered the course of my path. I sprint to the end of the hall and down the servant stairs to the kitchen. Not that we have any, but this house used to belong to the Alpha of the Romaine pack, none of whom returned at all from the Great Wars, and the house was repurposed for our use. Their wealth committed to the cause of repairing our society, probably because they were the smallest of the packs, living on the edge of solitude, and far from the rest of the villages, that it was a prime location. The house and its lands are secluded enough to confine unwanteds in one corner, to forget us and leave us to our own devices. It's why Colton picked the West Forest, I guess. It's easy to access from here and close enough for me to get to without effort. It'll take him longer to get there from where he is though, as his pack live on the south side of the mountain, almost 7 miles from here. If he can't be seen leaving, he will have to go on foot, not use his truck. And the only option for him is to turn and wolf it this way. We can cover ground faster as our true selves, and I wonder if I should take him some sort of clothing. Not that seeing him naked is a bad thing, but it might take my focus away from what he wants to say. I shake my head at my own stupidity and realize he probably thought of this and will be carrying some sort of bag and attire for changing back. That's if he intends to. Maybe he will stay in form and talk to me that way. No, stupid, he said, face to face, as using our mind link will make this worse. I chastise myself, blaming the lack of sleep for my dumbing down lately as I slide trough the kitchen unseen and get to the back porch door in record time. Getting used to my new speed and zipping around when you don't want to be seen is the perfect practice. I've stopped bumping into things and tripping over my own feet in hyper-speed mode, but I haven't yet mastered how not to get breathless. It takes it out of me after a short sprint. Thursday garden is empty, but most of the classrooms look onto the courtyard. So I make sure I stay in the shadows against the wall and slide along to the concealed part of the garden behind the outhouses. Up and over the 8-foot brick wall with an easy leap, and I'm free to run for the woods with no one seeing me escape. It's easier than I thought. Then again, no one expects me to defy rules and go chasing after Colton Santo. I was never this girl before him, and yet now, he just has to say the word, and I go. Blindly following my alpha, another annoying trait of being mated. He commands and I do. I start running in the direction I need to go, stopping and dropping behind trees anytime I catch sight of movement or pick up a sound or scent. My senses are firing on all cylinders of their highest ability, and it's making me a paranoid wreck as I try to forge a path without trace through the dense forest that leads to where I want to go. Heart pounding so hard through my chest, I'm sure anyone nearby will hear it. I try to calm down, but to no avail. I've never been a risk taker or had the bravery to do anything wild, like defy Juan Santo. I must be insane. I know if I get caught, I'll be dragged in front of Juan for breaking the rules set for me. He might be worried about killing his son, but he isn't worried about putting him through a little pain, and I'm not one for a public flogging if I can help it. Colton is stronger than me, and even if he does feel my pain, Juan will use it to teach us both a lesson. I don't doubt that cold-hearted bastard would do it for that reason. I've never liked him. I feel like I run at least 5 miles before I stop for much-needed breath, gasping crazily with crushing agony, my limbs beginning to ache and burn from overuse, and the unfamiliarity of speed running like this. Much like unfit people, we have to build our stamina so the human side of us can catch up. And I have not been good at building up to this kind of sprint. My legs and muscles are throbbing and feel like my tendons are being torn apart. I collapse behind an overgrown ridge to try and regain some equilibrium, so my lungs don't cave in, and give myself a few moments before dragging myself up and walking the rest of the way at human speed. Now I've made up good time. Deep in the woods, following the worn animal path to the cavern that I know well, I feel a little lighter and less depressed. Every kid has been here at least once in their life, long before the vampire attacks. This used to be the go-to spot to hang out, play and swim in the lake nearby, and the path made it impossible to get lost. Animals walking the link to their watering hole once you reach the shadowy depth of a forest so dense that it's permanently in shade. Even on the brightest of days, I know this is why he chose this place. In my memories, he would have seen I frequented it a lot with my brother Jasper. As a child, he knows I know it well. No one comes here now. They're too afraid, yet every kid knows the way and knows exactly how to get there. The fear of vampires still haunts us even now with all the years of quiet living. They are still out there somewhere, and shaded, gloomy, secluded areas like this would be an ideal spot for them to hunt. A twig snapping off to my left makes me jump a foot high, head snapping to follow its source and eyes burning to see what is coming. I dart inside a large hollow log to conceal myself and glance around, heart elevated and breath laboring quickly, senses kicking into red alert. It is me. Don't be afraid. The much-longed-for voice in my head, smothering me with calm, like thick honey, and I exhale with both relief and something else. That elation at being close to him again, but I wonder why I haven't picked up on his scent or his proximity yet. We're supposed to feel our mates when they're close. Where are you? I mutter awkwardly as I crawl back out, peeking cautiously, picking the dried moss from my hair and straighten up to scan the woods around me, keeping my distance, downwind of you over here. He calls back verbally, drawing me to him by voice alone. That explains why I didn't feel or smell him approaching. He's close enough to make me jump, and I spin in the direction his voice came at me from. I catch sight of him, jumping down from a rock overhanging the clearing, to one lower, I placed myself in, as he pulls on a t-shirt over those sculpted tanned abs and throws a backpack to the side of him. He must have carried clothes with him. And I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed and I rape him appreciatively. My body heating up with the insane lust I feel for this man, just because he got within 50 feet. My crazy hormones have had me dreaming of doing all kinds of naked things with him that a virgin shouldn't know how to do. I make a move towards him. But he raises his palm and throws me a serious frown that halts me in my tracks. That dominant warning I have to heed. Stay there. Don't come closer. It's better for both of us if we keep our distance. He seems extremely wary, voice a little husky and unsure. Why? What do you think I'm going to do to you? I retort angrily, hurt stupidly, and reacting like he offended me on every level. It's an insane disappointment, eating me up inside because all I really want to do is run into his arms and continue what was interrupted days ago. I need to feel his skin on mine and hate the fact he clearly doesn't. It's not you, it's me. I am finding things hard, and after what happened at the pack house, it's safer to keep you at least 30 feet away from me at all times. He shrugs, rounding those large shoulders and drawing my eye, making it obvious he doesn't trust himself. I guess he means the kiss, and the urge to mark me that followed seconds after. I guess I'm wrong and he does have the same insane need I do. I have to agree. Proximity does make me want to touch him all the more, but 30 feet is a little extreme. So why bring me here if you have no intention of coming anywhere near me? I spin on my heel and head to the log once more, in a bid to stomp some of this sudden aggression out. Only this time I climb on top of the rickety old wood and slump my butt down, dropping my legs over the side to sit comfortably, sulking inwardly like a chastised toddler, and focus my eyes on the snowdrops pushing through in the only crack of sunlight to hit the ground, rather than look at him. My pride is wounded, and as stupid as it is, I'm mad at him for it. This hunger is only cured with contact. I owed you some sort of explanation for cutting off our link. For staying away after I needed to do this properly. Colton's voice makes me all kinds of crazy. It's that deep male sexiness laced with a raw husky and almost commanding edge. He has always had a nice voice, that underlying hint of a Colombian accent in the depths. And now more than ever, it does insane things to my insides and dampens my irritability a little. Not quite all though. Your father made it pretty clear. All the why and what nots. I don't need you to repeat it. I snap a little too tetchily, and instantly get hit with a wave of sadness. Maybe regret as it moves over me. And I pick up on his feelings. I glance up and see he is marginally closer. And I guess that's why I can now feel what he does. In our separation, I couldn't feel much except my own misery. I guess that's the only positive about being apart. Now I'm carrying both of our emotions.